Union Network, and we're the trade association for credit unions in Minnesota. Minnesota Credit Union Network is a not-for-profit, so any monies we make from the Medicare agency goes back into doing advocacy work for credit unions in Minnesota. I've been doing this for 18 years. We started this with the Mayo Credit Union. I think it's been 3 years ago now. So for those of you in person, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as we go along. For those of you online, you can enter any questions in the chat, and if I say something you don't understand, or if you want me to repeat something, just feel free to enter that in the chat or ask questions as we go along. So with that, we'll get started. The disclosures. We are licensed in numerous states across the country. For those in Minnesota, we offer all of the Medicare Advantage plans that are available and many of the Medigap supplement plans and standalone prescription drug plans. Today's event is educational only. We won't be selling anything. We'll just be talking about the basics of Medicare. For those of you who are Mayo Clinic employees, if you started working for the Mayo Clinic prior to January 1 of 2002, you're most likely going to be eligible for reimbursement money through a company called Via Benefits, and your HR is going to let you know about that. If you are, you technically need to go through Via Benefits to sign up for a plan in order to get that health reimbursement money each year. I meet with people all the time who are in that situation, but if you want a second opinion, or you meet with Via Benefits and you're not sure of something they told you about, you can also schedule a time to meet with me, and we can review your options, and I can give you a good idea of what you should enroll with through Via Benefits if you started prior to January 1 of 2002. So we're going to be talking about the basics of Medicare. Our agenda today is why would you want to use TrueLink Medicare Advisors? What is Medicare? What does it cover? What doesn't it cover? The different enrollment periods and deadlines. What are the costs associated with Medicare? What if you decide to work past the age of 65? Do you need to sign up for Medicare? We'll discuss that. And then we'll take a look at private insurance options. So information overload. Around the time you turn 65, your mailbox starts filling up with advertisements from anybody and everybody who sells Medicare plans. And during the fall on TV, you'll see these celebrities on promoting different Medicare opportunities on TV. One of the reasons Mayo Employees Credit Union is using us is they vetted us. They made sure that we know what we're talking about and that we're going to treat you with integrity. So if you're in that position, we'd love to help you with your Medicare when the time comes. There's never a cost for our services. We get paid a commission by the insurance carrier, so if you go through us, you never have to pay us anything. We're here to provide understanding and education on the whys and hows of Medicare. Like I said, we offer multiple companies. It's not a one-size-fits-all. You can have a different plan than if you have a spouse. You don't have to have the same plan as a spouse. We're available throughout the year for questions and assistance. I get calls every week from clients who say, my insurance carrier didn't bill me correctly, or they're charging me a copay when I shouldn't have one. When that happens, we can do a three-way call with the insurance carrier, and we help get that straightened out for you. And then every year, if you want to review your coverage, especially for your prescription drug plan, we'll review that plan with you every year, because prescription drug coverage can change from year to year. And if you get a Medicare Advantage plan, that can change from year to year. So we're available during the annual enrollment period. If you want to do that, we'll review your coverage for you each year. So Original Medicare, there's two parts to Original Medicare. There's Part A and Part B. Medicare Part A is coverage for hospitalization, skilled nursing, home health care, and hospice care. If you or your spouse has worked in the United States for at least 10 years, you've had the Medicare tax come out of your paycheck, and therefore you don't have a monthly premium for your Medicare Part A when you sign up for that. Medicare Part B is coverage for doctors and specialists, outpatient surgeries, outpatient therapies, medical equipment, ambulance, all those types of things. There is a monthly premium for Medicare Part B, and this year that's $202.90 a month. When I started In the Medicare space 18 years ago, the monthly premium for Part B was $56. So it's gone up a lot over the 18 years, but there is a monthly premium for that for most individuals. If you're going to be collecting Social Security benefits at the time you sign up for Medicare Part B, that monthly premium comes right out of your Social Security check. If you're delaying enrolling in Medicare benefits for whatever reason, and you sign up for Part B, then you're going to get a bill, and they're going to bill you quarterly for that $202.90 a month. There is an option on your first bill if you want to have it come out of your checking account each month, you can do that. But that's how payment for Medicare Part B is handled. Any questions on that? Okay. There are things Original Medicare does not cover. Original Medicare is not going to give you coverage for comprehensive dental, worldwide coverage, hearing or vision, exams or hearing aids or eyewear. Original Medicare doesn't cover that. They don't cover outpatient prescription drugs, which is why you look at getting a Part D prescription drug plan. And another thing Original Medicare no longer covers is an annual physical. So if you go with a Medigap supplement plan, which works with Original Medicare, they will not pay for an annual physical anymore. They'll pay for an annual wellness exam, but not a physical. Medicare Advantage plans still pay for an annual physical. We'll go over that in a little bit. So the private health insurance options, there are different options. There's what's called Medigap plans or supplement plans. There are Medicare Advantage plans, also called Part C, and there are standalone prescription drug plans called Part D plans. And if you go with a Medigap plan and want prescription drug coverage, you would tie in a Part D plan. If you go with an Advantage plan, they include the prescription drug coverage with the plan. So with Medigap supplement plans, in most of the country, they're going to be called Plan F, Plan G, Plan N. In Minnesota, they are named differently. We call them basic plans, extended basic. Some insurance carriers offer a copay plan, and some insurance carriers offer a high deductible plan. With Medicare, with Medicare Medigap supplement plans, the benefits never change. Your premium will change from year to year, but the benefits never change with the supplement plan. With most Medigap plans, there's not a network of providers. Any provider in the country that accepts Medicare will accept your Medicare supplement plan. It travels with you if you leave the state, and if you have certain Medigap plans, will give you coverage in foreign countries. And if you move to another state, you can keep your Medigap plan. The downside to that, if you're a Minnesota resident, is Minnesota and the state of New York have the highest priced Medigap plans in the country. So you may not want to keep your Medigap plan if you move to Florida or Arizona or even Iowa or Wisconsin. Their Medigap plans are considerably less money per month than what they are in Minnesota. But you don't lose your Medigap plan if you move. If you don't enroll in a Medigap plan within the first 6 months of your Part B being effective, if you enroll later, they're going to ask you health questions, or it's called underwriting. And if you can answer no to all the health questions, you would be able to move from an Advantage plan to a Medigap plan. If you answer yes to any of the questions, they'll deny coverage for you. So that's something to know. And then Medicare Part C, also known as Medicare Advantage plans, and in some counties in Minnesota, we have what's called Medicare cost plans. But with the Part C plans, they roll everything together. It's not a la carte like it is with Medigap. So I forgot to mention, but with Medigap plans, it's coverage for your medical. If you want prescription drug coverage, you need to add that on. If you want dental and vision coverage, you have to buy policies for that too with a Medigap plan. So they can get kind of expensive per month. Medicare Advantage, they roll all that together. So for one monthly premium, with a Medicare Advantage plan, you're getting your medical, prescription drug, dental, vision, hearing, free gym membership. There's a lot of extras that you can get with Medicare Advantage plans. They also give you what's called maximum out-of-pocket protection. That's if your copays were to reach a certain amount before the end of the year, then you no longer have copays. Very similar to what an employer plan would have. Medicare Advantage plans are network-based, so you would need to use providers within the network. Minnesota is kind of an outlier when it comes to Advantage plans because we have a couple of insurance carriers where 97% of providers are in their network. So it's not, you're going to be hard-pressed to find somebody who's not in their network in Minnesota. In other states, I said we're licensed in several states. There are some states where you're fortunate to find 50% of providers who are in the network. But in Minnesota, a very strong network with the Advantage plans. There are a couple of different types of Advantage plans. There are HMO plans and there are PPO plans. If you go with an HMO plan, and I don't typically recommend those, at least for Minnesota, you're going to be limited when you're traveling on what you can do with it, and even if you're in network, you need a referral to see a specialist. If you go with a PPO Advantage plan, you don't need referrals to see a specialist, and they all, at least the plans in Minnesota, all have a national network. So if you're traveling, and you can use any providers in their national network anywhere across the country and be considered in network. Medicare Advantage plans do not travel with you if you move to another state. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan in Minnesota and you move to another state, we can help you find another plan that's available in that state, or even they're county-based. So you could move from one county to another county within the state in which you live and still lose your Medicare Advantage plan. The nice thing about that is if you were to move to another state and you have a Medicare Advantage plan in Minnesota, it gives you the opportunity to sign up for a Medigap supplement plan in whatever state you move to, where those plans are less expensive than they are in Minnesota. Because you lose your plan against your will when you move, you can get a Medigap supplement plan without the underwriting or without them asking you questions. If you want one, you have a certain time period in which you can sign up for one, and it's going to be called guaranteed issue. You don't have to qualify based on health questions if you were to lose your Advantage plan because of a move. You can only enroll in Advantage plans during valid enrollment periods. And with these plans, the benefits can change somewhat from year to year, and the premiums can change from year to year. Any questions on that? Okay. If you go the route of a Medigap supplement plan, if you want prescription drug coverage, you can get what's called a standalone Part D prescription drug plan. These plans, each company has a formulary, which is a list of medications that they cover or don't cover. If you meet with us, I'm going to ask you, do you take any prescription medications? I'll look those up in the Medicare Plan Finder, and that's going to help determine which plan is going to give you the best coverage. It's going to tell you what your costs are going to be, if you have any deductibles or co-pays, those sorts of things. So we do that for you. Every company offers mail order service if you want that. And they're all going to have different tiers of coverage. So tiers 1 and 2 are typically generic medications. Tiers 3 and 4 are going to typically be brand name medication. Tier 5 would be if you're taking any specialty medications. And then some plans have a tier 6, which is going to be the lowest cost generic medications. We go over all this again. If you choose to meet one-on-one with us, when we enter your medications, we're going to fill you in on all of that information. You do not have to sign up for a Part D prescription drug plan if you don't want to. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I've had people say, I don't take any prescriptions, and I'm never going to. For some people, that's true, and for other people, they've come back 5 years later and say, well, my doctor's prescribing a medication. I want to sign up for a prescription drug plan. If you delay enrolling after your Medicare A and B are effective, then you're going to pay a penalty for that. And that penalty is a national average, and it's 1% of the national average, which comes out to about $4 a month for every year you chose not to enroll. So if you went 5 years without a plan and then signed up, take 5 years times the $4 penalty, and that's going to be about an extra $20 a month you're going to pay on top of your premium every month for the rest of your life. So there are inexpensive prescription drug plans that start around $5. So if you're in that situation where you aren't taking any medications, you can get an inexpensive prescription drug plan so that you avoid that penalty down the road. Any questions? Okay. Something new the government started last year is called the Medicare Prescription Payment Program. In the past, there was something called the donut hole or the coverage gap, and that was when the cost of your medications reached a certain dollar amount, you fell into what was called the donut hole, where you had to pay 25% of the cost of your medications. That has gone away starting last year, and in place the government has put a cap or a maximum out-of-pocket protection on your prescription drug costs. This year that's $2,100. So if you were to reach the $2,100, and I have clients who hit that by February or March because they're on expensive medications, once you reach that maximum out of pocket, if you do, a lot of people don't, but if you do, you no longer pay anything for your medications for the rest of the year. The insurance companies are now required to pay the full cost of your medications if they're in the formulary once you hit that threshold. And again, a lot of people don't, but if you're on some expensive medications, that could be you. When you enroll in a prescription drug plan, you're going to receive information from your insurance carrier about you can sign up for the prescription payment program if you want to. You don't have to. There's no cost to sign up. But if you sign up for it because you have high cost in medications and you might hit that threshold within the first few months, they spread the cost out over 12 months or the remainder of the year based on the cost of your medications, and so that you're not paying that in 2 months, you can get it spread out over 12 months. If you sign up for the program, when you pick up your medications at the pharmacy, you won't pay the pharmacy anything for the medications. The insurance carrier will bill you each month for your medications. I have clients who hit it by February or March, and when you're retired, that can be difficult for some people to come up with that kind of money when you're on a limited income. So if you are in that situation, there is this option to sign up for the prescription payment program to spread those costs out over 12 months. The different enrollment periods. Your first enrollment period is called the initial coverage enrollment period, and it's a 7-month window. It begins 3 months before the month you turn 65, the month of, and 3 months following. So if you're, around your 65th birth date, if you're no longer working or on an employer plan, or if your spouse isn't, you're not on their employer plan, you would want to sign up for Medicare based on your 65th birth date. And again, you can start that process 3 months before the month you turn 65 and have up until 3 months following the month of your birth date. A lot of people continue to work these days past the age of 65. So if you are on an employer plan and the employer has more than 20 people, 20 employees, and it's creditable coverage, and if you're on the Mayo plans, that they meet all that criteria, you can delay enrolling in Medicare. You can either enroll in just Medicare Part A if you want to, or you can delay enrolling in both. You don't need Medicare Part B if you are on an employer plan, either through your employment or through a spouse's employment. You can delay enrolling in Part B so that you don't have to pay that $202 a month. When you are ready to retire, or your spouse is, and you're going to leave the employer plan, then you fall into the special election period or special election time frame in which you can enroll in Medicare at that time. So you'd want to start this process 2 to 3 months before you're going to retire and lose your employer coverage. That's the time frame in which you would want to get signed up for Medicare Part A and B if you hadn't done that already. And it's going to take about a month for your Medicare card to come in the mail. And once that comes, we can get you signed up for whatever supplemental type coverage you want. And we'll time it so that you're not going to be without, when your employer plan's ends, your Medicare would pick up. So if we do the pre-planning, you won't be without coverage. Any questions on that? Okay. And then every year, once you are on Medicare, there's the annual election period. It's from October 15th through December 7th every year. And this is a time frame where if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare prescription drug plan, you can review your coverage because those things can change from year to year. And if you want to make a switch, this is a time frame in which you can make the switch. If you do switch, then it goes into effect January 1 of the following year. It's very important once you're on Medicare to review your prescription drug coverage every year, and that's something we'll do for you, again at no cost. But the majority of people across the country don't review their coverage once they sign up for something, and then when plans change and they didn't bother to read the annual notice of change they get, come January, they go to the pharmacy and find out a medication's not covered in January that was covered the last year. So you don't want those kinds of surprises. So like I said, it's important to review at least your prescription drug coverage every year. And then the other enrollment period is if you are on a Medicare Advantage plan and either you didn't make a switch or you did make a switch during the annual enrollment period, if for whatever reason you don't like that Medicare Advantage plan, from January 1 through March 31st, you can switch to a different Medicare Advantage plan or just leave it altogether. But you do have that additional option if you're on an Advantage plan. If you're on a Medigap supplement plan, you don't have that option, but with Medicare Advantage, you do. Delaying Medicare benefits. So we talked a little bit about this, but what if you work past the age of 65 or you have a spouse who's working past the age of 65 and you're on that employer plan? You can delay enrolling in Medicare Part A and B. We can help you compare your costs of what it would cost you to be on Medicare versus the employer plan. Because I've reviewed a lot of this with the plans that Mayo Clinic offers, you're better off staying on the Mayo plan if you're going to keep working or your spouse is beyond the age of 65. The Mayo plan is deemed creditable coverage by Medicare, so you're good there. If your plan, if you're contributing to a health savings account or an HSA account, you do not want to sign up for Medicare Part A. Once you sign up for Medicare Part A, you are not going to be able to contribute to your health savings account anymore. So if you have an employer plan where you contribute to an HSA, you do not want to sign up for Medicare Part A. If you're not contributing to a health savings account, you can go ahead and sign up for Medicare Part A at age 65 because you're not paying anything a month for that. But again, if you're contributing to an HSA, do not sign up. Yes?
If you take advantage of that HSA and you want to continue that, will you be penalized if you don't sign up for Medicare A then?
Yeah, so the question is, if you want to take advantage of continuing to contribute to your HSA, will you be penalized for not signing up for Part A? No, you will not be. Once you do sign up for Medicare Part A, maybe it's around the time you retire, your Part A gets backdated up to 6 months. It's Part B that if you didn't sign up at age 65 that you could potentially pay a penalty for, but we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. Yeah, so if you do delay enrolling in Medicare Part A because of an HSA account, when you are ready to retire, technically you're to stop contributing to your HSA account 6 months before you're going to enroll in Medicare Part A. A lot of people forget this, and what happens is if you didn't stop contributing up to 6 months before, the IRS can tax you on your contributions to the HSA. A good rule of thumb is if you're contributing to an HSA when your new plan offerings come out in November from your employer, if you're thinking, I may retire next year, it's probably a good idea to stop contributing to your HSA in January, and then if you do retire that year, at least you've stopped at some point contributing to your HSA. It's not a huge deal if you forget that, it's just you could get taxed on those. Once you need to apply for Medicare Part A and B, you can do that online. If you're going to be collecting Social Security benefits at age 65, if you've signed up for that, you will automatically receive your Medicare card in the mail 3 months before the month of your birth date. If you're not collecting Social Security benefits at age 65, when you are ready to start signing up for Medicare, again, you can do that online. We can help you with that. If you've ever created an account for yourself on Social Security's website, you can log into your account and do it, or you can go to the local Social Security office and have them help you sign up for it. If you've delayed enrolling in Medicare Part B beyond age 65, there's a form that your employer needs to fill out for you. And this is what it looks like. It's called the Request for Employment Information. You fill out Section A, your employer fills out Section B, and if you have a spouse or you're the spouse that's on the employer plan, you need one of these for each of you if you've delayed enrolling in Medicare Part B beyond age 65. You submit this completed form at the time that you submit your Part B application, and this prevents you having to pay a penalty for not signing up for Part B at age 65. So you do not need this form if you're signing up for Part B at age 65. You only need it if you're doing it beyond the age of 65 because you had employer coverage. But the Mayo HR takes care of these all the time if that's who your employer, your coverage is through. Most employers are aware of it. If you need the form, we can send you the form, but like I said, most employees or employers are well aware of this form. They fill it out, you submit it at the same time you apply for Medicare Part B, and then you don't pay your penalty. There are income impacts once you're on Medicare, and for some people their income can really drop when they're retired, and there's something called extra help that's available. If you qualify for extra help, it can help you with your Part B, that $202 a month. Depending on what level you qualify for, it could get that paid for you totally, and it will help you with your prescription drug costs. So based on your family size, if you go across the top of the chart, those are the percentages of the federal poverty guidelines. If your income based on your family size drops below any of these levels, you are most likely going to qualify for some sort of extra help. To find out if you do, you can either go to the website we have listed there, ssa.gov/extra help, or you can call the Social Security phone number, and they're going to help you apply for this to see if you qualify for it. The other side of that coin is if you're in the high income category, there's something called the IRMA, or the Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. Every year, Social Security works with the IRS, and they look at your federal tax return from 2 years ago. If your modified adjusted gross income is above whatever the threshold for the year is, then they're going to add a surcharge onto your Part B premium and your prescription drug premium every month for the rest of the year, and then they reevaluate it every year. So this year, the threshold is if you file your taxes as an individual, if your modified adjusted gross income is over $109,000 from 2 years ago, Social Security is going to add a surcharge onto your Part B premium. If you're married and filing jointly and your modified adjusted gross was over $218,000 from 2 years ago, Social Security will add a surcharge on. So the third column where it says Part B premium, you can see based on the income ranges, the higher your income, that's what your Part B premium is going to be. So if you're married and filing jointly and your modified adjusted gross income from 2024 was $300,000, your Part B premium is going to be $405.80 a month. And they're going to add $37.50 a month onto your prescription drug premium. And that'll be every month for the rest of the year, and then every year they reevaluate it. These thresholds of $109,000 and $218,000 tend to go up every year, so they do change every year. I've had people ask me, well, what if I sold a house, or what if I had an inheritance and it was just a one-time situation? When Social Security, if this affects you, when Social Security sends you the letter letting you know they're going to charge you the high income surcharge, there's also an appeal process. So if your income bumped up based on maybe the sale of a house or an inheritance, it was a one-time event, you can appeal their decision. Oftentimes they will grant that appeal so that you don't have the surcharge. Some clients of mine have told me they appealed it 2 to 3 times and Social Security finally accepted their appeal. But if you fall into that category where maybe it was just a one-time event that inflated your income from 2 years ago, you can appeal that. If it's just based on regular income or cashing out, 401ks or something like that, they're probably not going to grant your appeal. Any questions on that? Okay. So premium costs. Kind of wrapping up here, we know that for Medicare Part A, you aren't going to pay a monthly premium. Medicare Part B this year is $202.90 a month for most people. If you go with a Medicare Advantage plan based on the county you're in, those start at $0 a month and they can go up to well over $100 a month. Again, with Medicare Advantage plans, they include everything together: medical, prescription drug, dental, vision, hearing, free gym membership for one monthly premium. If you go the route of a Medigap plan, based on the type of Medigap plan that you have, those are going to start around $75. And if you go something with a plan that's like a Plan G, where you just pay a small deductible and then you don't have any co-pays, those are going to run well over $300 a month. And then you would want to add on a prescription drug plan. Those start at $5 a month and can go to over $100 a month. And if you want dental and vision coverage, then you would need to buy policies for that too. So you can see that Medigap supplement plans, you can be considerably more expensive in premiums per month, but there are reasons why people would want to go that route versus a Medicare Advantage plan. So when we meet, if you choose to meet with us just to get advice or to get signed up, we'll discuss the differences and why you might want to go one route or the other. Yes?
What type of individual would get no charge for a Part C? It says 0 to 100,000.
Yep.
Who gets 0?
So anybody, if they lived in a county where a zero premium plan was available, they can sign up. The maximum out of pocket's higher on those. It could be $8,000 or $9,000. That's not a deductible. That's if your co-pays add up to that amount. Zero premium plans are really big in Florida and Arizona. So if anybody's online watching from employees in those states, zero premium plans are big all over the country, except in Minnesota. Minnesotans tend to think it's too good to be true, but they're available, yes.
What counties around southeastern Minnesota are 0 counties?
So there are no, down in Olmsted County, Dodge County, in the southeastern quadrant of Minnesota, the only zero premium plan that would be available is one, they're designed for veterans, but anybody can use it. There are zero premium plans that actually pay you back money on your Part B premium, but they don't offer prescription drug coverage. They're designed for veterans who either use the VA or have TRICARE for life, but anybody can enroll in those if there's one available. But other than that, in this area of Minnesota, that's about your only option for a zero premium. In the metro in northern Minnesota, there's more options. Yeah. Any other questions? Well, if you're in person, you got a handout, and your card may be yellow. Yeah.
I do have another question.
Yes. Yeah.
And this might be a very broad question, but what's going to give me the best possible coverage for the least amount of money per month?
Yeah. So the question is, what's going to give me the best possible coverage for the least amount of money per month? Yes, so Advantage plans typically will cost you less per month, but you're going to have co-pays and you'll have networks. But again, in Minnesota, a couple of carriers have 97% of providers in your network. A Medigap plan will typically cost you more, but you're not going to have to deal with networks, and you don't have to worry if you move, losing it, and that sort of thing. So. Medigap plans only cover medical. If you go the route of Medigap, you're going to have to add on prescription drug, and if you want dental and vision, you have to buy policies for those. Advantage includes all that together. Yeah.
So there's a lot of different variables.
There are a lot of different variables based on the type. And if you meet with us, we try to walk you through that to find out what's most important to you. Yeah. And speaking of that, if you're in person, you got a card, yours are yellow. But if you fill this out, if you put your email address, I'm going to send you an email thanking you for coming today, and I'm just simply going to ask, do you need help with Medicare and when? If you respond to that, I'll put you in our calendar so I can contact you at the time you say you need help with it. You're not required to fill this out, but if you do, I'm not going to keep calling you and bugging you. If you put an email address, I prefer to contact people via email because I know, I'm standing in the line in Target. The last thing I want is to be talking to somebody on my cell phone. So you're not required to fill it out, but if you do, we'll send you a thank you for attending. For those of you online, this afternoon, you're going to receive some of the information that we presented in person. You can see my contact information on the slide right now. If you can call our 800 number, my direct number is listed there, or one of the 2 email addresses we have listed. You can connect with me in that way if you need help. If you're in Minnesota, we're happy to meet with you in person, or we can do a virtual or phone. I do all 3 of those options with people who, depending on what they want. If you're out of state from Minnesota, if you're in La Crosse, we can help you meet in person if you want. But if you're one of the Arizona or Florida employees or wherever you're based, we can still meet with you. It'd be virtual or by phone. So, any questions in the chat? No? Okay. Well, thank you for attending today. And again, you have my contact information. If you do want to reach out and ask a question, you're certainly welcome to do that. But thank you for attending. And yeah, we'll be back at this next month.